I often noted how her smile would fade whenever she discussed her ex. It was like a dark cloud looming over her, shutting out the light. I could see the way she would halt, her eyes darting away, as if she was terrified to mention his name. It made my heart break for her. I couldn't understand why someone who should have made her happy instead left her feeling so small and afraid. One day, I found onto certain realities about him that made my stomach twist. He played mind tricks, distorting her ideas and made her question herself. I knew then that I had to do something. If I could disclose the truth about him, maybe she could finally break away from his clutches. When I first met Jason, everything felt beautiful. He was hilarious and lovely, and I felt I'd found my prince. But as time went, I started to sense something wasn't right. At first, Jason's caring side was lovely, but gradually it evolved into control. "Where are you going? Who are you with?" He'd inquire, his tone cutting. I felt like I was caught in a gorgeous cage. It ached to learn that what I believed was love was actually suffocating me. One day, I found a message on his phone. My heart raced as I read the words. "Betrayal." I felt like I was in a scary movie. "How could you do this to me?" I shouted. Jason only shrugged, his eyes chilly. "You're overreacting," he said. I felt my trust crack into bits like glass on the floor. I knew I couldn't remain. "I won't let you control me anymore," I exclaimed, my voice solid with wrath. I wanted to be free, not stuck in a nightmare. Love should never feel like a war. It should bring you up, not pull you down. With each stride away from him, I felt stronger. I was ready to confront the truth. "You can't keep lying to me," I stated, my heart beating but my spirit soaring. Breaking free from the bogus love I thought I'd made me see the truth about Jason. At first, he appeared like the proper guy, but soon, I saw his devious techniques of dominating me. He exploited my feelings against me, making me question myself. Whenever I asked him something, he'd twist my words, making me feel crazy. It felt like I was a puppet, and Jason was pulling all the ropes. In the beginning, he treated me with love, but it quickly developed into a way to control me. He gave me just enough affection to disguise his terrifying techniques. Then, he crossed the line by invading my personal. He wanted to check my phone and social media, and every time I said no, it felt like trust difficulties piled up. I felt stuck in a bad circumstance, frightened to speak up. I desired his admiration so much that I ignored my inner impulses. Seeing these warning flags was my first step to waking up. I learned love shouldn't feel like a cage. I needed to find my strength and face up to Jason, the guy who perverted my reality. It was time to take back my life, free from his influence and dread. I grabbed Jason's phone, my hands shaking. My pulse raced when I read a message from another girl. Who was she? My stomach twisted. How could he do this to me? It felt like I got punched in the gut. I blinked back tears, but they spilled over. He'd lied to me. "Why?" I shouted, facing him. "How could you betray me like this?" He just smiled, brushing off my agony. "It's no big deal," he added, like it was all a joke. That's when I knew I needed to take command. I called my best buddy, Lisa. "You won't believe what I found," I said, my voice trembling. She listened carefully, her eyes wide. "We have to get you out of this mess," she continued, resolute. We started planning. I found additional secrets about Jason messages, images, lies. Each one made me stronger. I wasn't simply sad. I was ready to fight back. With my heart beating, I knew it was time to confront Jason again. I'd been planning for weeks, and finally I was ready. I thought about all the people he hurt, and I had to be strong for them too. I'd worked hard on myself, learning to embrace who I am and stand on my own. As I took a deep breath, I realized how vital it was to set limits. I knew regaining trust would take a time, but this was my first move. I'd to face my anxieties, and Jason was the biggest one. Just thinking about him made my stomach twist, but I couldn't back down. When I strolled into the cafe, recollections of our past rushed my thoughts. I focused on feeling strong with every step. I wasn't the weak girl he used to dominate. I was strong now, armed with the truth. I sighed deeply, feeling the weight of my choice. This meeting wasn't just about Jason. It was about taking back my life, and showing him I wasn't terrified anymore. I was ready for anything he threw my way. "Hey, Jason," I answered, my voice steady. He smirked, but I wasn't terrified. I didn't think you'd show up. I'm here to end this, I said, gazing at him. His smile faded, and I could see the surprise in his eyes. You think you can just walk away? I stepped closer. I'm not walking away. I'm standing my ground. The tension in the air was thick. I could feel my heart beating, yet that stoked my fire. This was my moment, and I wouldn't let him steal it. Though my stomach felt like a roller coaster, I knew this was the moment everything would change. Confronting Jason was like getting into a raging storm. I'd spent weeks dealing with my feelings of betrayal, but now I was ready to take back my control. I pulled open the cafe door, my heart thumping. This wasn't just about him. It was about breaking the spell he'd over my life. As I sat down, I felt the weight of my choice. Jason looked at me, his face a mix of perplexity and cockiness. He felt he'd won. He thought I'd always be the victim. But not anymore. I had proof of his falsehoods, and I was ready to show him. You think you can just walk away from what you did? I said, my voice steady yet angry. Every syllable I spoke seemed like a step toward freedom. I wanted him to wriggle, to experience the misery he created. Memories of trust and promises filled my thoughts, yet instead of hurting, I felt strong. I could break free from his hold. This ends today, Jason, I replied, my eyes latching onto his. You can't keep playing with my life like it's a game. His smirk disappeared, replaced by surprise. I could see the wheels moving in his head as he realized he was losing control. I didn't think you'd it in you, he hissed, seeking to restore his confidence. Well, you thought wrong. I shot back. My pulse raced as I pulled out the evidence, the messages, the lies. I know everything. His face paled as he stared at the documents. You're making a mistake, he continued, his voice wavering slightly. No, Jason. You made the error. You underestimated me. I could feel the shift in the air, the power slowly leaning in my favor. Finding support became incredibly vital after my fight with Jason. I felt lost and terrified, like faith was a delicate glass that could break. My heart hurt, but I knew I needed help to heal. So, I turned to my dearest buddies. Lisa was my rock. I've got your back, she murmured, her eyes wild with loyalty. Together, we brainstormed methods to combat my worries. It wasn't an easy trip. Each day, I learned just how strong I truly was. I understood I couldn't let the hurt dominate me. I started looking for support outside my group too. I went to courses and support groups, where I met others with similar challenges. You're not alone, one person said, and it felt like a warm hug. As I got adjusted to my new existence, things changed when I got a bizarre text. My phone flashed up with an unknown number. I read it, and my heart raced. I know what Jason is hiding. Meet me at the old park. It felt like a story, yet it was real. Who was this person? What did they want? I felt terrified but yet curious. Could this stranger assist me find out what Jason was hiding? Or was this a ruse to bring me back into his lies? My gut urged me to be careful. Jason could do anything, but I needed to know the truth. I drove to the park, my heart beating. The forest seemed dark and ominous, but I kept going. There was a woman with keen green eyes waiting for me. When she talked, I understood I wasn't the only one harmed by Jason. We need to talk, she said. I know what he's done. We shared our stories, demonstrating the terrible truth beneath Jason's flowery rhetoric. The fear from the message turned into flames in my belly. I wouldn't let him win. Finding out the truth seemed like the first step to regaining my life back. Let's take him down, I murmured, feeling stronger. Together, she said, determination showing in her eyes. The first time I saw Mia, I felt something flare between us. She had sparkling green eyes that portrayed both force and despair. I quickly recognized she wasn't simply another person harmed by Jason. She had her own sad narrative of betrayal. As she talked, I hung on every word, awed by her fearlessness. It was strange to finally meet someone who actually understood my grief and dread. Mia put it all out. Jason had injured her, too. She wanted payback, just like I did. It felt wonderful to know I wasn't confronting this struggle alone. In that dark park, our bond started to bloom, propelled by our mutual fury and the need to make things right. Together, we felt like we could take on Jason and uncover his secrets. As we traded stories, I realized how well we matched. Mia's courage kindled a fire in me. No longer did I feel like a victim. I was ready to fight back. We need to show Jason for who he really is. Mia added, purpose in her voice. Absolutely. He can't get away with this, I said, feeling confident. We prepared our next actions, preparing to bring Jason down. This wasn't just a romance, it was a lifeline. No more loneliness. Together, we'd guarantee Jason suffered for his lies. Each moment with Mia fueled my spirit, informing me that while betrayal hurt, it could also lead to powerful friendships that altered everything. Let's do this, I murmured, a fresh fire blazing in my heart. Mia nodded, and we both knew we were in this together. I was afraid. Jason was unpredictable, and I had no idea what he'd do next. But forging an alliance with Mia felt like a lifeline. We both have trust difficulties due of him. Meeting her made me recognize I wasn't alone in this fight. We each had scars, but together, we discovered strength. Our bond evolved fast, spurred by our mutual aims of recovery and payback. Mia, I can't believe what he did to us, I murmured one night as we sipped our coffee. I know, she said, her voice firm. But we can't let him win. Every late-night call and coffee talk pulled us closer. We recounted our stories, and each one seemed like a little win against the gloom. It was freeing to talk about Jason, to yell out our anxieties and grievances. I feel like I'm finally lifting the weight, I told Mia one evening. Me too, she yelled. We're taking back our lives. We began to plot. We gathered facts, laid down our future actions, and produced a map of our strategy. Let's catch him off guard, Mia remarked with a ferocious grin. Yeah. He thinks he can control us, but he's mistaken, I said, my pulse racing with a mix of fear and excitement. As we worked together, our friendship grew deeper. I recognized that this was more than just fighting Jason. It was about fighting for me. I wanted closure, not just retribution. I was on a path to heal, turning my grief into determination. With Mia at my side, I felt ready to confront the mayhem Jason had unleashed. Mia and I felt a thrill of excitement as we dug into Jason's life, eager to unearth his darkest secrets. Each clue we found made my heart race. We started with his online accounts, combing through emails and texts. With every click, I felt a mix of optimism and anxiety. What if we uncovered something dreadful that may ruin him? Soon enough, we found alarming truths. Jason had been involved in unscrupulous deals, affecting many who trusted him. He'd stolen money from friends and relatives, fooling them with his smooth language. I couldn't believe how far he'd go to preserve power. This was the man I once loved. But now I saw him as he truly was, a brilliant deceiver. As Mia and I pieced together the elements of his life, fury surged inside me. I wanted to face him, to make him understand the weight of his crimes. Every fresh finding increased my determination. I wasn't going to be a victim anymore. We have to make sure he didn't get away with this. Exposing Jason wasn't only about retribution. It was about taking my life back. Gathering proof made me feel strong. His falsehoods wouldn't hold me anymore. No more living in dread. With Mia by my side, I was ready for whatever came next. We were going to turn the tables, and I couldn't wait. Let's do this, I murmured, my voice firm. Mia nodded, her eyes sparkling with intent. Together, we'd face Jason and make him pay for what he did. As I probed into Jason's life, I realized he was a master of lying, trapping everyone around him in his deceit. He wore a charming facade, winning over friends and family while quietly twisting their strings. It came out his network of falsehoods went far beyond simply me. People I cared about were trapped in his traps, entirely oblivious of the manipulations he pulled. Every new piece of knowledge felt like a punch in the gut. He didn't only fail me. He took advantage of everyone who trusted in him. He made promises he had no intention of keeping and twisted feelings to get what he wanted. I felt awful when I learned how he took money from his brother, all while behaving like the perfect sibling. It was shocking. Mia and I shared a passionate yearning to unearth Jason's dark secrets. Each clue we collected created a stronger picture of his betrayal. I found I wasn't alone. Many people were damaged by him. Anger erupted throughout me, pushing my determination to bring him down. I couldn't just sit back and let him dictate my feelings anymore. I had to confront him. He needed to understand that his hold over me was waning. As I got ready for our combat, my heart raced with both terror and strength. I was ready to rip down his web of falsehoods, and this time, I wouldn't let him win. Jason, I yelled out, my voice firm. We need to talk. He turned, a smirk on his face, thinking he still had the upper hand. What's the matter? You appear upset. Upset? You have no idea. I shot back, anger surging inside me. You've hurt so many people, and it stops now. His smile vanished. What do you mean? I know about the lies, the manipulation, and how you betrayed everyone who cared about you. I drew closer, my determination stiffening. You can't keep hiding behind your fake charm. What are you talking about? He mocked, but I could see the terror in his eyes. I'm talking about the truth, Jason. The truth is going to come out. I could feel the weight of every falsehood behind my words. He shifted uncomfortably. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I would, I said, my voice firm. And I'm not alone. Mia and I are ready to unveil you. I was done being Jason's puppet. It was time to gather proof and take him down. I knew I had to act immediately. I couldn't let him win. Every day, I wrote down everything he did. I observed his secret phone calls, the bizarre messages he sent, and all the lies he told his friends. It felt like putting together a puzzle, and each clue pushed me closer to revealing his true colors. Mia was my partner in this. Together, we were unbeatable. We got into his email and obtained texts that demonstrated his plans to swindle individuals. My heart raced with each new finding. Anger spurred my resolve, and I carefully recorded everything, knowing it may help bring him down. We even talked to people he'd injured before, gathering their stories and proof of his lies. But in the back of my mind, fear crept in. What if Jason found out? What if he tried to hurt us? I brushed off the worry. I was tired of being terrified. It was time for him to face the music. Each late night spent digging up dirt took me closer to my goal. I felt stronger with every piece of evidence we unearthed. This was my opportunity to rewrite the script on Jason and show him I wasn't weak anymore. Let's go over what we've got so far, Mia remarked, her eyes beaming with delight. We've got his emails and a list of his victims, I said, confidence swelling in my chest. We need to hit him hard. As we worked, the stress rose. I could almost taste the win. Jason wouldn't see it coming. This was my moment to take back control and reveal the monster he was. Every piece of proof we unearthed ignited a fire in me. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was getting back my power. Each lie about Jason felt like I was pulling down the barriers he created around me. I'd been terrified for too long, but now, with every lie I found, I felt stronger. This journey was transforming me. I could finally breathe easily, knowing I was in charge of my life. I felt like a fighter, rising up ready to face the darkness that had tormented me. The terror that used to hold me was gone, replaced by ferocious purpose. I wasn't just battling for myself, I was fighting for everyone he'd injured. With Mia by my side, I felt like I could take on the world. Our shared stories bonded us, and with every shocking fact, we became tougher. I learned to believe in myself again. I stopped doubting my gut. I eventually knew I deserved better than the lies and torture Jason put me through. As we acquired additional proof, my pulse beat with excitement. I was ready to reveal him, to show the world who he truly was. I wasn't the fearful girl hiding anymore. I was stepping into the light, ready to take back my life and my power. This was just the start of my fight for true freedom. Mia, we're almost there, I murmured, my voice steady. I know, she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. We're going to make him pay. As we collected our data, a bold concept started to spark in my thoughts. We couldn't just reveal Jason. We had to make sure he'd never hurt us again. I felt a burst of drive. Every secret we unearthed moved us closer to our goal. Mia, what if we show everyone what he's really like? I suggested, my heart racing. Mia nodded, her eyes lighting up. Yes. We can gather all the proof emails, texts, everything. Jason was slick and deadly, but we were smarter. He needs to feel the weight of what he's done, I replied, passion in my voice. We decided to collect all we had and show it to his family and friends, the people he'd fooled for too long. This was about payback, yes, but also about healing. We had to take back our lives. Every stride we made felt like breaking free. I was no longer the fearful girl caught in a poisonous love tale. I could see our plan plainly. Let's do it this weekend when he's vulnerable, I murmured, enthusiasm building up. The notion of Jason facing the truth sent shivers down my spine. We shared our anxieties and hopes, making our bond stronger. He needs to understand what he's done, Mia added, resolve in her voice. We won't let him win. As we went deeper into our strategy, a cold terror grabbed my stomach. What if Jason spilled the beans before we could act? My heart raced at the prospect. I had to think rapidly about every action we made. Each piece of proof we collected felt like a ticking bomb, ready to explode up if he found out. Trust difficulties loomed enormous between Mia and myself. Could I really trust on her to keep our secrets safe? Late-night chats filled my head with dread. What if Jason had bugs observing us? What if he already knew our plan? I saw him lying back, a devious grin pasted on his face, ready to strike. The sting of dishonesty I felt made it impossible for me to trust anyone, even my dearest buddy. I started to distrust everything. Was Mia really on my side? Or was she playing both sides? The stakes were sky high, and I could not breathe beneath the weight of the risk. I had to persuade myself that I wasn't the weak girl Jason had bullied. I was strong and clever. But that didn't relieve the gnawing worry. Every text I wrote to Mia seemed like a roll of the dice. Each meeting was a chance for Jason to catch us in the act. I could almost hear his mocking laughing in my brain. I shook it off. I wouldn't allow fear take command. I have to be smart, stay aware. This was our moment, and I wouldn't let it slide through my fingers. Mia, we have to be careful, I murmured, trying to keep my voice steady. If Jason finds out, we're done for. I know, she said, her eyes darting around as if Jason could come at any minute. But we can't back down now. I nodded, feeling the weight of our choices. No more mistakes. We can't trust anyone else. As the night dragged on, the anxiety rose. I felt like we were walking on a tightrope, one slight slip away from danger. But there was no going back. We were in this together, whether we liked it or not. As the day of the encounter drew near, I felt a tornado of anxieties and fire inside me. I had to face Jason and disclose his falsehoods, but his wrath scared me. I took a deep breath and got ready. I noted down all his betrayals, each one harder than the last. The hurt he created was real, and I was done hiding from it. In front of the mirror, I practiced my remarks. You think you can stop me? Think again. I repeated it, my voice rising stronger each time. I wasn't that fearful girl anymore. I had a strategy, and I had my friends Mia and others behind me, believing in me. Their love kindled a spark in my heart. That morning, my gut twisted like a pretzel. But I reminded myself, you're not alone, you're in control now. I got dressed, looked in the mirror, and said, you can do this. I took a deep breath, ready to finally face the gloom Jason had brought into my life. When I arrived at our meeting site, my heart raced. Jason was leaning against the wall, a smirk on his face. What do you want? He snarled. I stepped forward, my voice steady. I want the truth. No more falsehoods. He laughed, but I saw the spark of discomfort in his eyes. You think you can scare me? He shot back, but I wasn't backing down. I know who you are. You've harmed me, and I won't let you do it again. Suddenly, I felt a burst of bravery. You're not the boss of me. I shouted, stunning even myself. The surprise on his face was hilarious. You'll regret this, he cautioned, but I noticed the fracture in his mask. I was ready to fight for my truth, and I wouldn't let his greed and cunning win. In that moment, I recognized this wasn't just about revenge. It was about recovering my life. I stood solid, ready to face whatever came next. The confrontation had started, and I was finally taking control. The cafe was busy with discussion and the sound of cups clinking, but I was in my own bubble, heart racing as I waited for Jason. This was at the moment I'd been getting ready for. I had a plan to face him. I spent weeks collecting proof of his betrayal, and now, I was ready to expose the reality that broke my trust. When he strolled in, I noticed his swagger, the same confident look that used to make me smile. But now, it just made me upset. I indicated for him to sit down. We need to talk, I replied, my voice firm although my heart felt like it was hammering out of my chest. He raised an eyebrow, unaware about the tempest that was coming his way. I put everything out, the texts, the falsehoods, the money he took. I could watch his face transform from surprise to fury. He tried to twist my words, but I had the proof. In that moment, I felt strong, taking back the story he'd tried to steal from me. But then he grinned, and that shudder rushed down my spine. "You think you can hurt me?" he teased. "I know your secrets too." My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't let fear take over now. I had come too far to back down. In that cafe, with people surrounding us, I understood I was no longer the victim. I was ready to fight for my truth. I felt a wave of fear, but I quickly shoved it down. I had figured out Jason's lies, and it was time to tell the truth that would break his mask. A fire sparked inside me as I got ready to meet him. No more hiding in the shadows, it was time to stand up and be authentic. Mia and I got everything we could. We dug up information that would demonstrate Jason's true colors. Each truth I disclosed with his family and friends helped him lose the power he had over me. I wanted to find peace, not just for myself, but for everyone he'd hurt. My pulse raced as I realized I was taking back my authority. Mia and I formed a team. We exchanged our stories, and that helped me feel stronger. We pushed each other to keep going, knowing we had to fight back. This wasn't just about getting even. It was about healing. Standing before Jason's loved ones, I felt a mix of humiliation, fury, and a spark of optimism. In that moment, I knew that expressing the truth was more than just standing up for myself. It proved I was powerful. Jason couldn't control my life anymore. I was ready for whatever occurred next, knowing truth was my tool. Jason wasn't going to let my big announcement slide. As soon as I disclosed his secrets, I felt the air alter. He was enraged, and I knew he'd pull out all the brakes to gain back control. Jason was a pro at manipulation, and I braced myself for his next move. First, he tried to make me appear awful. He propagated lies, saying our friends I was crazy and just asking for attention. He twisted everything around, making me the terrible character in our story. It was horrible to see how easily people believed him. His charm still worked, even when the truth came out. I felt betrayed like a big weight in my chest. I had laid open his lies, yet he was twisting it all back to make me doubt myself. Every text he sent seemed like a dagger to my heart. But I wasn't going to let Jason win. I gathered proof of his lies and reached out to everyone he'd tricked. I showed them the true Jason, the one who'd shattered their confidence. Slowly, people began to see through his tricks. With each person I convinced, I felt stronger. Jason's games were backfiring. I was taking back my tail, and I wouldn't stop until he confronted what he'd done. This was just the start of my fight. I was ready to take him down. As I confronted Jason, I could feel something change inside me. I wasn't the fearful girl he used to manipulate. I had facts, people on my side, and most importantly, I had discovered my strength. The power had changed, and it was mine now. Memories of Jason's falsehoods flooding back. He made me doubt myself, bent my ideas like a pretzel. But now, I had the truth, and it felt fantastic. The lie that had once destroyed me was now my fuel. I was no longer just reacting. I was ready to act to disclose him. When I finally addressed him, I could sense panic in his eyes. He knew I had discovered out his falsehoods. I had the upper hand. I spoke out, my voice steady. With every statement, I took back my worth. I wasn't just talking, I was pulling down the walls of his lies. "You think you can keep lying to me?" I said, my heart pumping. He sputtered. "It's not like that." I shot back. "No more tricks, Jason. I know everything." Each assertion felt like a strike to his veneer. He wiggled, but I remained tall, hanging on to the truth. I was no longer his puppet. I was in charge now. "Please, just listen," he cried, his voice cracking. "No, you had your chance," I stated. I learned then that being strong wasn't just about getting through, it was about fighting back. I was ready for this war, and I wouldn't back down. The game was done, and I was the one calling the shots. I had the strength now, but I knew I couldn't fight this battle alone. I needed aid to take down Jason and reveal everyone his falsehoods. I called Mia. She knew my suffering and had her own story to tell. Together, we built a solid alliance founded on trust and our shared aim. With each secret we found about Jason, our bond got stronger. It felt nice to have Mia at my side. I learned that our strength stemmed from working together. Each step we took was driven by our need to bring Jason down. We started speaking out to others who'd likewise been hurt by him. They shared their stories, and it helped us regain our trust in humanity. We weren't alone. As we gathered proof against Jason, I felt a burst of determination. Our partnership was evolving into something tremendous. I knew we could face whatever Jason threw at us. Our plan was hazardous, but we were ready to confront him. I felt alive again, like a fighter, not a victim, ready to fight for what was right. This wasn't just about retribution. It was about taking back our life. With each new friend, optimism blossomed inside me. I was on a path of power, and nothing could stop us now. Jason will soon find that his days of trickery were finished. Mia, we can't hold back, I said, my voice firm. He needs to see we're not scared anymore. Agreed. Mia responded, her eyes blazing. Let's show him what we've got. With our friends by our side, we were ready to take back our authority. It was time to show Jason that the game was done. Fear tickled the back of my consciousness, but it couldn't stop the fire inside me. Mia and I had a plan. We termed it our ultimate strategy to confront Jason. We were ready to tell the truth and fight back. The evidence we acquired was solid enough to expose Jason's lies to everyone who counted. Mia and I huddled in my room, surrounded by mounds of documents. Each paper was a piece of Jason's betrayal. I felt stronger than ever. I wasn't just a victim. I was getting back my power. We spent hours going over every detail, making sure we didn't miss anything. This isn't just about revenge, Mia added, her eyes blazing. It's about everyone he hurt. I nodded, thinking of Jason's brother, his friends, people who trusted him. They deserved to know the truth. The day of the battle was creeping up on us, and I could feel the weight of our assignment. But I was ready. Jason wouldn't terrify me anymore. Anger bubbled inside me, driving me forward. I had to be strong for myself and for Mia. This was it. No more lying, no more silent. Jason was going to face the music. Are you ready? Mia asked, her voice steady. More than ever, I answered, resolve flooding my chest. We were going to turn the tables. Jason was going to discover that disloyalty comes with a price. How could someone so handsome hide such darkness? Jason had a smile that could mislead anyone, and I was one of his many victims. But beneath that grin was a twisted mix of lies and trickery. I decided it was time to find out the truth. With Mia at my side, we became spies. We searched through his emails and messages, and what we found astonished us. Jason had taken money from friends and relatives, defrauding the individuals who trusted him the most. I felt a searing wrath rise in me. How could he injure so many? I was determined to show everyone who he truly was. We worked late into the night, putting together his story of lying. I felt a burst of power. No more being his puppet. I wanted to portray the real Jason, the one lurking behind his deceptive smile. Finally, the day came. I stood in front of his family and friends, ready to reveal the truth. My heart hammered as I talked, but I felt strong. I observed their features morph from uncertainty to shock. This was it. I was taking back my life. Exposing his lies was just the beginning of my rehabilitation, and I was ready to move on. Jason had messed with the wrong guy, and now it was time for him to face the music. As I stood there, I watched astonishment sweep across Jason's family and friends like a dark fog. Exposing his lies was simply the start of a greater war. Confusion swirled in their eyes, and rage distorted their cheeks. I had ruined the gorgeous picture he had constructed for so long, and now I felt heavy with what I had done. This wasn't just about getting back at him. It was about throwing a light on the darkness that wounded so many. I thought I'd feel free, but instead, doubt crept in. Would they believe me? Would they turn against me? I took a deep breath and started to reveal everything: his lies, his trickery. My heart raced as fear and strength blended inside me. This was my opportunity to stand up, but it came with a price. Guilt gnawed at me, knowing I had impacted lives, not just my own. I felt plagued by what I had lost, but something else was stirring inside, a spark of strength. At that moment, I understood I was tougher than I thought. I wasn't the fearful girl hiding anymore. I was a fighter, ready to confront the storm that followed my choices. Each reality I uncovered presented new challenges, but it also created avenues for healing. I had to deal with my feelings, allowing the grief and rage wash over me. It wasn't easy, but through it all, I started to reevaluate who I was. I wasn't just a victim. I was a fighter, and that thought propelled me ahead. Suddenly, I recognized Jason amid the crowd, a sneer playing on his lips. "You think you've won?" he snarled, confidence radiating from him. I squared my shoulders. This isn't a game anymore, Jason. You can't hide behind your lies. His gaze hardened, and I felt the tension crackle like lightning. Watch me. The room was heavy with expectation. I turned back to the crowd, the weight of their gazes on me. I'm not afraid of you, I responded, my voice firm. You've hurt too many people, and it ends now. Gasps flooded the air, and I could see the shift in their expressions. I was no longer alone in this fight. The truth was out, and I was ready to face whatever came next. Reclaiming my life was like moving into dazzling sunlight after being locked in a dark room for years. I was done letting Jason's lies define me. I wanted to find my genuine self and my voice. Every day was a fight, but I was ready to stand up. I started hanging around with individuals who genuinely cared, like Lisa. She assured me that I had strength inside me. With each little win, like sharing my story or addressing my fears, I felt like I was breaking free. It was thrilling. I found things I liked that Jason had tried to take away. I painted bright drawings, danced, and laughed, things that made me happy. Every step I took to recover my life made me feel strong. I recognized I wasn't just a victim, I was a fighter. I found strength in being honest and faith in being me. I broke away from Jason's lies and welcomed a new era, where I was the one in charge. The gloom that used to envelop around me eventually dissipated. I discovered that obtaining my independence wasn't simply about running away from Jason. It was about recognizing who I really was. I came out of that horror not just whole but significantly stronger. I was ready to face the world, and nothing would stop me. I had been through a lot, but after everything with Jason, I was determined to construct a life that genuinely represented me. It wasn't simple to shake off the hurt from his lie. I had to work hard to rediscover my confidence again. I knew I needed to put myself first. I surrounded myself with friends who actually cared. Lisa and Mia stood by me, helping me through the suffering. You need to find what makes you happy, Lisa stated one day. So, I took her advice and jumped into things I enjoyed. I started painting and writing. With each brush stroke and every word, I felt a little more like myself again. As I moved on, I understood something important. I had to set limitations. No one, certainly not a crafty ex, would decide my worth. I found strengths I didn't realize I possessed, and that felt fantastic. I tackled my worries, and with each assignment, I felt a burst of power. Now, I wake up ready to take on the world. The wounds from my past tell me of my journey, not my weakness. I converted my pain into meaning. I'm ready for whatever comes next. My narrative isn't simply about betrayal, it's about emerging stronger. I'm crafting a future that displays who I really am. And no one can take that away from me.